How are you? So today's topic is our experience in Japan. So we're going to ask each other some questions and hopefully you can listen to the English and understand what we are talking about and also get to know us a little more. So my name is Candy.
My name is Makayla.
This is my daughter. I don't think I mentioned that last video. So in case you were wondering, this is my daughter. I know, she is big. She's tall. And usually people ask if we are sisters, but we're not at all. That's my kid. That's my baby. Okay, so first question. What's been your experience with cultural differences in Japan?
That's a really good question, and we've gotten this question a few times. One big cultural difference, I would say, being from America and coming to Japan, would be slippers. So in America, slippers isn't a huge thing. I mean, they do have slippers, but they wear them everywhere in the house. But here,
And even to the store.
even to the store, they wear their inside slippers to
We
the
don't.
store. We don't.
We didn't.
We d- But in America, they wear their inside slippers to the store, and it's not sanitary. But coming to Japan, seeing that there's different slippers for going to the bathroom, taking your slippers off when you go into a tatami room, things like that was just a big culture shock for me because I wasn't used to that. And a couple times, especially when I first came to Japan, I made a few mistakes and walked into the tatami room with my slippers, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Wait, hold on. I have one too. I would leave the bathroom with the toilet room slippers still on, and then I like go in the kitchen and I'm like, oh no.
Yes, it's happened to me too. So I would say that's one of the big differences about America and Japan. Another thing I think is escalators. So when you go to the train station or maybe a mall, everyone in Japan, what side? They stand on the
Right side.
they stand on the right side of the escalator. But in America, everyone usually just stands in the middle. No one stands on one side, but it makes so much more sense to stand on one side in case someone wants to just walk up. So that makes a lot of sense. But that was a big difference. And I made a couple mistakes and stood on the left side or in the middle. And I had people like, excuse me, son.
You're blocking the whole escalator. I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how about you?
So for me, I would say handshaking versus bowing. So in America, usually they do a handshake, but in Japan, they bow. They don't touch each other. Honestly, I prefer to bow
Yes.
than to handshake because I don't know if the other person washed their hands. I don't know what the other person just finished doing. I don't know if they have a cold. I don't know anything about them personally to touch them. So I appreciate the bow very much.
Yes.
Very much.
Yes. And especially when you make eye contact with someone, like what are you supposed to do when you have that kind of awkward, but here in Japan, if you bow, it's very polite, it's very respectful. I don't have to be next super close to you to be able to bow. You can be across the room and I can just bow my head if I make eye contact with you, and it comes off very gentle and polite.
Yes, yes. The handshake, I heard Japanese say it's forceful.
始めました。
力強いなんか政治家さんの方かなみたいな。確かに。
And I agree. It is forceful because if you're putting your hand out, you expect me to also touch you. But maybe I don't want to touch you. So, and now we're really close. You know, I like my space. So I love the bow. The other thing I would say is giving tips for service.
Yeah.
So in America, we give a tip at the restaurant. We give a tip for taxis. We give a tip at the hotel for the person who cleans your room, the person who carries your luggage.
Yeah.
We give a lot of tips. So a tip is giving extra money in addition to whatever the payment is. But it's so expensive. And especially at the restaurant, you're expected to give about 15% of your total bill. And it's a lot of money.
Yes, it is. It is a lot. But coming to Japan, they don't do that here.
No, there's no tips, and I love it.
I remember the first time we went to a restaurant, we were like, oh, you know, should we give a tip? And they're like, no, we don't take money, you know.
Yeah.
So that was shocking to us. We found out that they don't do tips here in Japan.
Well, one difference I'll mention is that in America, the tipping, some of the reason for tipping is because the worker is only getting paid like $3 or $4 per hour. So they rely on the tip. But here, the worker, the staff person is getting paid normal wages. So there's a difference there.
Yes.
Hey, stop the video. Did you subscribe yet? If you didn't subscribe, please subscribe to my new channel. So, in the future, when I release a new video every week, you will get a notification. So please continue to enjoy the rest of the video, and I hope that you are increasing in your understanding of English. See you! I forgot one more thing. I must give you the word of the month. So the word of the month is avid. Avid means to have a strong interest or enthusiasm for something. Some synonyms are enthusiastic, passionate, fervent, or zealous. So to use this word in a sentence, you could say, I am an avid learner of English. So please enjoy your new word, and I hope you will use it. See you.
Okay, so the next question is, how has Japan contributed to your professional and personal growth?
Okay, so personally, I feel like I have grown in being a better cook. So in America, I feel it's not everyone, right? But a majority. Everything is so convenient. Like many people, I won't say no one, many people don't know how to cook from scratch. Like, for example, to make your own bread, to make your own dessert. make your own snacks, to make your own foods. A lot of things are frozen or fast food, so it can be very unhealthy. So coming to Japan, certain things that I wanted to eat, or my family wants to eat, sometimes I cannot find here in Japan. So it forced me to look up recipes, and I have really grown in my ability to cook and bake, and I love it. I love it. I really enjoy it.
One example of that would be bagels.
Yes.
They don't really have bagels here in Japan like that. They do, but it is hard to find.
Yeah.
We've seen it maybe once or twice, if that, but you don't really see it or come across it a lot. So we learn how to make that ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Even also, like, we have a type of bread we call either a hoagie or a sub roll. So I'll put a picture up here. You can't really find that too often. It's kind of difficult. Like, if I see that, I'm kind of surprised. So we've learned to make it because sometimes we like to have a sandwich. So yes, so that would be personal growth and professional growth. Now, okay, so this is my personal experience. So I don't think Japanese will relate to some of what I'm going to say. I feel like since I came to Japan, the work culture for me is much more relaxed. And what I mean is, in America, I used to work a lot, 6 or 7 days a week, sometimes 12, 16 hours in a day, sometimes working 2 jobs. So it was very tiresome. And I feel like you had to work a lot because everything is very expensive. So if you're not working, it's hard to survive. And now in Japan, everything is like cost less money, so I don't have to work such long hours. I can spend more time being a mother, being a wife, taking care of my house, finishing my PhD at the university, and doing hobbies, but I still work, but I don't have to work so hard. And I would say that it's helped me grow because now I enjoy going to work. I'm not so tired. I can come up with more ideas. I can be more creative because I'm able to rest. I'm able to enjoy my family, and I'm happier. So yes, that's been really wonderful moving here. How about you? Well, you can't really talk on professional. A little bit you can, but more personal, right?
Yes. So one thing that for my personal growth is I definitely develop skills to use as a profession in the future. So that means farming is one thing. Right now I'm only 17, so I don't have any professional experience, but the things I've learned in Japan could possibly help me have a career in the future. So farming, pottery is one thing that I also learned. Calligraphy is another thing I learned. Herbs, yes. Herbs is another thing. There's a lot of wildlife here in Japan and a lot of plants and wild herbs. So even just going out and harvesting wild plants to make medicine out of could also be a potential profession in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely have seen your skills grow because, again, in America, there was no room to learn other things. Like, it was just work, or for you, it was school. Then you come home, you got to study more hours, and now you're able to still study for school and be educated, but you can have time to do other skills and work on opening your own business and things that you want to do, you know?
And to add on to that, in America, even though you go to school, there's not many field trips or many experiences where you can go places. So I know here in Japan, they implement in the school system to go to rice fields to volunteer, to go to cafes to volunteer, to go work at a store for a day. Those are the type of experiences Japanese children are able to have going to the school over here in Japan. But in America, there's no room for that, and they don't allow you to go work for a day or to teach you how to manage money and things like that. But they do have those things here in Japan.
That's a really great point because Japanese kids, they do a lot of schoolwork and they're in school all day. They study for many hours after school. However, I do agree they're able to experience things. I know every year they have a thing where for 1 week the kids, I believe, I might be wrong, please my friends correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's junior high school or high school where for 1 week they go, like you were talking about, and you'll see them like at the grocery store greeting people, where they may be at a car dealership, they may be at a farm, they may go to a factory. I've seen some kids with the police, so they'll be helping the police like help other kids cross the street and things like that. So they have like more experiences. Yes, I agree. That's a great point. I forgot about that.
And I also would say I've developed communication skills coming here to Japan because there is a language barrier. I don't speak Japanese, so I have to learn how to be able to communicate with my hands using gestures, slowing down my speech to try to be able to communicate with someone who doesn't understand what I'm saying, neither do I understand what they're saying. So definitely communication skills have definitely gotten better.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, you know, with communication skills, like, I like to tell my students who are studying English to be patient with themselves because even though you may not be fluent in the language, use whatever vocabulary you have. It doesn't have to be a perfect sentence. It could be 2 words, but you know, I can understand what you are trying to communicate. And I've noticed that when I do that with Japanese, can't say a full sentence sometimes, so I'll do my best and use a couple words, and they will help me, you know, and yes, that's been really helpful. All right, so question 3. What's your most memorable cultural experience?
There are a lot. Well, one cultural experience, my most memorable one, would be going to a tea ceremony. I've heard of tea ceremonies when I was in America. I actually heard about it in school. I had to do a paper on Japan. So I've heard of the tea ceremony, but I've never been to one. So actually coming to Japan, going to one, and seeing how intricate it was and how detailed it was very, very interesting.
Yes, it is very detailed. Everything has an order, how you hold your cup, how you serve it. Everything has a specific order that it must be done in. Yes. But the most great thing about the tea ceremony is the matcha. Like, we love green tea, we love matcha, so we really enjoy.
Yes. What would you say is your most memorable cultural experience?
So when I first came to Japan, I met a woman. She is from Japan. She's from Osaka, and she spoke fluent English, and she was very nice, and she invited me to make miso paste. And because I told her how much I love miso, and her friends make it together every year. So she invited me to come and make it with them, and I really enjoyed it. And I've been making my own miso paste every year since then. But I didn't make any this year because last year I ended up making 3 kinds of miso paste. I made a black bean miso paste, white soybean miso paste, and azuki miso paste. And I made 5 kilos of each.
So we did not finish them.
No, I still have miso paste from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's good, you know? So next year I'll need to make it. But yes, I really enjoy making the miso paste. It takes a long time. So when I do make it, I have to schedule many days off so I can make it. But I really like it. I also like when at the end, you know, you make your little balls and you throw it in the container to get the air pockets out. I enjoy that. Okay, so that concludes our video. I hope that you learned a little more about us, and I hope that it was easy to listen to and it was interesting. And if you have any questions that we didn't answer or something you would like to know, leave a comment down below. Okay? And also,
please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and go follow us on all our social media platforms. We'll have them on the screen here so you can see. And also make sure you watch our first episode of our podcast as well. And we'll have it here on the screen.
okay. See you.